All right, welcome to the second episode of the Aristochats podcast. Today I'm joined again by Benjamin Gold to my left, and across from me, Aerodrome or Kurigane Hammer.
Hello.
How are we?
Yeah, good job, Ben. And today for our second episode, we have a guest joining us, our first guest of the podcast, Jason Lee Mustapik, aka Duon, aka The Gwyff, aka Gwyffy.
A Jovac or whatever his name
Jovac,
was
yeah.
that time.
Back, yeah.
Voyak.
Whatever.
I think it was a Voyak.
Thank God that's
I don't
done
know.
with.
How do you
Confirm or
pronounce,
deny,
how do you
Jason?
pronounce it, Jason?
Are you? Thank God. What a cracker name Voyak was, to be honest.
Do you have any others?
And it'd still be around if people could be
Could pronounce
bothered.
it.
Yeah, for sure.
I wanted to say
Actually,
Jovac, though, every time.
Yeah, dude. The first tournament I changed my tag, we went to Miltim. And I don't know if anyone's ever interacted with Millen and Timich before.
No.
But they're characters. Well, they're characters, mate. And he's there and he's like, oh, what's your tag? And I was like, oh, dude.
All right, we've already got a problem.
Huh?
I can't.
Do we?
I couldn't hear you. I could hear you, but
What the hell are you talking about?
you cut out.
Just telling the story.
Because I'm recording on Audacity, mate.
Don't be a dribbler.
I'm dribbling. We'll let it go.
That's unreal.
Nah, it's something.
We got a problem.
We have a problem.
He's
We have
just
a
getting into
problem.
one of his interesting stories, Arrow, and you're just like,
All right,
well,
cut.
kill the
We're
ball.
done.
Why is that done?
Back it up. Go
I'm
home.
going. I'm leaving. I'm out of here.
He looks so alerted as well. He's like looking around. Hey guys, there's a fucking big problem here. You're like, I thought it was flowing. I thought it was good. Good stuff. So yeah, these two characters.
Oh, dude. What the
You want to continue with your story?
Oh, dude. He was just like, what's your tag? And I'm like, oh, it's Voyak. And he's like, how do you spell that?
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, I don't really know. Hang on. He's like, how do you not know how to spell your tag, dude? And I was like, hang on, I'll just look it up. I forgot how to spell it. It's new.
Still,
Yeah,
still
that's it.
learning
Then I found $20.
Oh, what a day.
Yeah.
Wait, where did that tag come from?
It's Duon. It's the same word, but it's in Croatian.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So now we have glad we resolved that issue, thankfully, so we can progress with the podcast. Cheers, Zero. So we're going to be mentioning just briefly what we're going to be covering today. Mainly, there'll be a lot of stuff in between, but going to touch on mainly Jason's opinions on Smash Ultimate, as well as improving in Smash overall.
What I would do.
And as a prominent figure in the scene and an organizer in the scene, what we can do in regards to the growth of the scene, particularly in Australia. The main talking points. Before we sort of get started, Jason, is there anything you want to say at all?
Nah, I'm happy to be here, mate.
Sweet, that's awesome. Good to have you, man. This has been the first guest on the potty, which is just going absolutely, perfectly, no issues whatsoever. Nothing behind the scenes. Everything technologically working as it should be. Don't worry about it.
Without a hitch.
I really don't like how
On both ends.
Yeah.
how both Jesmo and Ben are just staring at me right now.
You're opposite me, man. Where do you want me to look?
At the poster.
Yeah, we got a free Gyarados poster, which we just explained to Jason, but for everyone else out there, I think it's in the shot actually for the camera.
Yeah, it should be.
Or half of it is. We got a free Gyarados
Well,
poster.
that wouldn't be very good.
Which-
Purchase it in the shop.
Which we were actually told on a proviso that we shouldn't say that we got given it for free, and I've just said it. All right, so the first thing we're going to go into is I wanted to get your opinion, Jason, on how you feel about Smash Ultimate now that the game is... How old is it? What are we in? Like year 3?
3 or 4
Yeah.
years old.
It's year 4, mate.
Year 4.
Like
End of year
December
4.
7th. Yeah.
So, yeah, the metagame has progressed a lot. How do you feel about the game now that you're sort of 4 years into it? You've had a lot of time to adapt to a lot of the mechanic changes, all the DLC and everything. Kind of just wanting your opinion on, how you feel about the state of the game at the moment and the game overall.
Yeah. It's pretty bad.
Yeah.
It's all pretty shocking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. It kind of feels nice sometimes. But nah, it's just not really. It's not great.
What do you,
Just everything, like the engine.
What are your main problems with
or...
it?
Well, the engine's like, I don't know, man. There's just so many things there's not even so many things. There's just like 3 things where like you like turn the 0 to a 1 in the code, and it's just like fine. And for some reason, they just didn't do it. They just got rid of like a bunch of things, and they just added stuff. It's just like, and we've had this discussion before. Like, if you change literally 3 things, if you change like buffering, shielding, and like something else, this game is like so good.
Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense. Parrying. I guess that comes
parrying,
to shielding.
Let me run through people. That's always been one of my biggest gripes. I have.
Yeah, exactly. Like, basically, like they fuck shields up.
Yeah.
It's pretty bad. Like, shield safety is like, I never cared, and this might be more of a slight to my career in Smash 4, but I actually never cared about like advantage on shield at all. Like, I couldn't tell you what Cloud Back Air was on shield in Smash 4, because if you perfect shielded it, it didn't matter what it was.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
You'd punish it.
Yeah.
But in this game, you have to do not only a harder input, but it's still safe.
Yeah.
It's still -5 if you parry it, or like -6. You still can't do anything. It doesn't matter. So I know so much frame data in this game, like shield advantage, for basically no reason, because none of it matters, because it's all safe anyway. So it's just sort of to sprout. Like, I could just tell you that Young Link's down tilt is -7. I can't do anything about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's what it is.
Well, going back
So-
to Smash 4 myself, when I have played it, it's interesting. I never really thought about it at the time, but when you space an aerial on someone's shield, you can visually see how safe it is from the pushback of the shield, the distance. You can say, okay, I cannot reach them from that position. You just know.
Yeah.
Where in Ultimate, pushback, there's some of it, but it's really not there in most cases. It's just purely about that frame data, how safe it is once it's hit the shield. And it's almost like a difference of verticality rather than horizontal distance.
They increased a lot of the character's traction in Ultimate, so people don't slide very far when their shield is a hit.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
So yeah, because that visual distance isn't there to gauge. It's purely about the numbers that you have to memorize and say, and it's a lot more RNG.
So the
kind of,
the game actually becomes less about like spacing your moves on shield and just like doing it like as close as like to the ground as possible, so that you get like the least amount of like frames. Because if
the
your
distance
move
doesn't
is
matter.
if your move is like -2, it's not like they can punish that to begin with.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I have noticed that. Like, you go back and watch sort of Brawl and Smash 4, and there's like a level of micro spacing that doesn't appear to be there in Ultimate. Which I know I'm not watching Ult at the same level that I watched Brawl and Smash 4, because I'm a much worse Ultimate player than I was for Smash 4 and Brawl. But just watching, it's a fundamental component that exists in every Smash game, and it just doesn't appear to be as strict in Ultimate as it does in like the previous games. And I never really understood why that was. I kind of thought the lack of power shielding was probably the primary component for that.
I think there are a few factors. One is just what we're talking about there, where you don't have that visual like cue, I guess, of hitting shields, but also just the engine. It's very fast. People can get places very quickly, so that because the distance can be closed so quickly, it's a lot more difficult to maintain it. Like, rather than say Rosalina in front of you in Smash 4, you can just kind of, if you try and approach her, she can deal with it. You have the time to deal with it effectively. In Ultimate, it's just very quick, very fast. Everything's happening so quickly.
Yeah.
And I've lost track of the other thing I was going to say, unfortunately. But
Yeah, I mean,
I think just engine.
Yeah, I've always felt like that. I felt like sort of exactly what Jason said, and we've spoken about it at length a few times, is that if you just change like 3 or 4 things, you could very well have the best Smash game of all time. Like maybe you can't surpass Melee because it's just accidentally genius, but Ultimate would be very, very close if it was just like you changed the running through thing, which was my like massive gripe that I had with it, because it was a thing that I never understood why that was removed, because I felt like it only added value to the game. I never understood that.
It really punishes
It
the
made it more two-dimensional.
pivot grabs.
Yeah.
Like the usefulness of pivot grabs. Like pivot grabs are still like usable in some scenarios, mainly when someone's like approaching you and you're like retreating at the same time. But like when you run at people, like they instinctively shield. and just having that threat of being able to run through someone and then pivot grab them is now no longer there.
Yeah.
And was also the sickest thing you could do, by the way. It's
like,
such just run through a motherfucker
it
and
is
just grab them.
such a good play. You look better than the other player. Like you've really won that exchange if you get that sort of read right and that movement. Which they removed, which I never understood why. The buffering has also been like a massive problem for me, which I never adjusted to, and the parrying mechanic for me as well.
And a lot of people don't like the short hop macro.
Yeah, I have trouble doing like rising full hop aerials personally, but I think I just haven't played enough. You'd eventually get used to
aerial being the hardest tech.
See, that's like a scenario where it's like
you could turn this off. You could make this a toggle.
Why not just have
And
this has always been a problem with Smash is that they're like, oh, people want this, whatever it is, and it's like they'll just add it.
Yeah,
I guess it's a Nintendo problem in general. Like it's like the Pokemon thing, right? Where they're like, oh, people don't like grinding, so add experience shit.
Yeah,
but like some people do like grinding, so like why don't you just make it a toggle?
Yeah, or just like
it doesn't make any sense. Some people like I love the macro because I can't do like a short hop aerial properly, especially in Smash 4 because with jump canceling, it like didn't work. I couldn't do it properly. That's why I swapped to a Pro Controller in Smash 4, so that you could do X and then flick the C stick, right?
Yeah.
But like there shouldn't be a reason that like two players, like I love the macro, so I'll keep it on, but like someone else could have the option to turn it off.
Yeah, I mean, I've played,
and all it does is like raise the level of gameplay that you're having.
It's not really an advantage. It's just having the option to go in and set your X to grab or something.
Or like
it's
tap
really
jump.
no different. Yeah, tap jump.
Very simple.
Like I've played 4 Smash titles with being a certain way, being able to short hop a certain way and full hop a certain way, and then you hit this new one. You're like, well, no, you can't do that anymore, and there's no option to just change that for seemingly no reason. That's pretty frustrating.
I've like been through this discussion in my head a bit, where I'm like, okay, well, I'm like Smash 4 pilled, and I'm sure like Ben is Smash 4 pilled, and you two are like Brawl, like you have Brawl on your head, right?
Yeah. Where
it's like you learn the game through the version that you played.
Yeah.
And those are the rules that make sense to you, right?
Yep.
So like, so I'm like, oh, what? Maybe it's just Ultimate has all these set of new rules that I don't agree with because they're different to Smash 4, and so on and so forth. Except, it's just everything has changed.
Yeah.
It's like, like we've already talked about like 3 separate, like, pretty big, like, key things that, like, I don't know, man. It doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
There's just like here's a little one that people don't even remember, but like you get 2 frames, you lose your jump now.
Yeah.
Which has just like never been a thing. I don't know if there was 2 framing in like Brawl.
No.
To an extent. No, it was all invincibility. No. But like,
you always
why has this changed?
Yeah.
Yeah, like it doesn't make any sense that you don't.
Well,
get your jump back.
You should get your jump back as well. From a balance point of view, the risk of trying to 2-frame someone, it's like you don't leave the stage. There's no risk to it. So if you land, like you get a 2-frame timing, the reward should be like them losing their jump plus getting hit and then resetting that recovery scenario. Like it doesn't. It's just that's actually from a balance point of view. I think that doesn't follow really.
Well, it's also very
backward
because they made a point in removing so many 2-frame options.
Yeah, true.
Like Fox up tilt.
Yeah.
Falcon up tilt as well. Like so many moves just don't 2-frame in this game anymore. So it was clearly something that they were trying to remove to some degree.
Yeah.
And then they just add that you don't get your jump back.
I mean, what did they forget that they made a few games where like they just like have full invincibility on a ledge grab? Like, why don't they just do that if they want it? Like, it doesn't make much sense.
Yeah.
So it's just like, so you can say like, oh, they wanted to like remove 2-framing, but like they just could literally remove 2-framing.
They could, yeah, for sure.
And then it's just like this everything that's basically like the perfect analogy of like some of the decisions they made for Ultimate was like, oh, they want to, I don't even know what they would want to remove with removing running through a shield, but I guess Sakurai looked a bit stupid, like because he got his ass like pivot grab through his shield, and he was like, that's no good, gotta get rid of that one.
Yeah, removing like movement options in particular is always something I've had a massive problem with, or like character-specific tech that isn't like game-breaking. I was like, why would you remove this? It just removes depth from the game. But yeah, specifically movement options. Like, I can't. I have no idea why that was removed. I think Aero gave me an explanation once, like a year or two ago, but I don't remember what the actual rationale was, and I still don't get it, to be honest.
The only thing I can think of is you would get interactions, like basically if you sucked, pretty much, is you try and like Captain Falcon dash grab someone, and you just rocket right through them, and then the grab comes out on the other side. Like,
I mean, that was a classic. That was a classic Smash 4.
And then the actual classic is
Falcon dash grab through them.
Is then they try and punish you, but they don't know which side of you they're on, and then you like try to like shield grab them, and you like whiff because they're behind you.
Yeah, so I can imagine they kind of wanted to avoid situations like that.
Yeah,
but then they just introduced even stranger ones where like, I don't know if Snake's dash attack is going to pass through me or not. Sometimes it does, sometimes it does, and it just seems even more random than it was to begin with. So
Mythra's dash attack, I've been playing this character since it came out, and I still don't know when it crosses up. I don't know. So this move will just sometimes seemingly randomly cross up, and I don't know why.
I've even found, I think some people have said that they've noticed that if you shield it, it won't, but if you parry it, it will.
Oh yeah, true. Actually, I think that was the reasoning that I came to my conclusion with, is because invincibility or intangibility disables what they call jostle. So that's like where the pushback that characters now have. So when you do power shield something or parry it, you will just go through people.
Yeah.
Because they're invincible for the entire time.
And that's the same if you can call out a spot dodge with a pivot grab as well and go right through them. Yeah. But it's just not worth it at that point.
Speaking like on parrying, not just like trying to necessarily, how do I explain this? How do you actually feel about the mechanic now without just like saying, oh, it used to be like power shielding, it was different and I preferred that because I started with that? How do you genuinely feel about the mechanic compared to power shielding from like a more objective point of view as best you can?
Well, I prefer parrying to power shielding personally.
Parrying? Why is that?
At least for me, well, for starters, I'm better at it than power shielding, so there's a bit of a bias there. It came a lot more naturally to me than power shielding did. In previous games, it always just kind of felt like, okay, I'm going to run up, I'm in their burst range, I'm going to shield, because that's the safest thing to do. If it happens to power shield, great. If it doesn't, I was going to shield anyway. It just kind of felt... It never really felt particularly deliberate, even if it was something I would hope for. Where a parry is always, I want a parry, I'm going for a parry, I got it.
They can certainly be accidental, though.
They can, definitely, but...
I know, because every parry I've ever done has been accidental, so...
Same.
I know.
Yeah. But to be fair, at the same time, you guys haven't played it. Yeah, you guys don't play it that much.
But you can do it, like, fairly, like you'll definitely get plenty of these like accidentally throughout your career for sure.
But at least for me, parrying has always felt by and large much more deliberate.
Okay.
The only problem there is just the reward from it.
Right.
That's my problem.
The reward is dog shit.
Against
like
multi-hits.
3 frames. Like, who gives a fuck, man?
3 frames in a game where the move is already -2, or in Steve's case, like +2. So it just doesn't matter at all. Multi-hits, it's useless. You just get hit by the next move. Unless it like happens to automatically parry the second hit sometimes as well. That happens. Or there are even times where you parry a move, and because of that advantage, they're still frozen. Your punish actually comes out too early.
Yeah.
They haven't landed yet.
The Falco,
See that a lot.
That's the Falco side B.
Yeah.
Yeah, see that a lot.
If you parry Falco side B, like aerial Falco side B, it's like literally safer than if you just shield it normally.
Yeah. So there's definitely some kinks
sense.
they need to iron out there with parry.
I mean,
I do like
the
it
3
as a
frames
concept.
thing is actually the 3 frames thing is actually
That's the killer.
absurd, man. Like I remember the only VOD I've like ever reviewed of myself in this game. I was like, "Oh, Seb, yeah, you suck. Learn how to beat you." Naring on my shield. I'm like, "All right, yeah, Rob, pretty cool move. Rob Nair." Parry like 8 of them. I'm like, look at this, I'm so good. Ernest is like, doesn't matter. Still -5. He does it perfectly.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. He's like, you have to parry Z drop out of shield with banana in order to punish this.
Wow.
I'm like, oh, that's pretty cool. Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember parrying a cloud back air as K. Rool, and I buffered a dash attack to hit him, he just got a shield up in time anyway, because it's still -5 or whatever. And then I land on the other side, he just up smashes and kills me for it. So
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, like the biggest problem is that the risk isn't worth the reward. No. The risk is you die, and the reward is you don't get anything. Like,
yeah, well, I've always felt like the risk was too much, because there's always that chance if you drop it early or you mistime it, like you're going to cop the move, which you're deliberately trying to like parry, which seems like not that great.
Maybe the worst part about it is that it counts into shield hit lag as well. So if you power shield like a really strong hit, so like Pyro forward smash, Ganon forward smash, like any of these moves, you're stuck.
yeah.
And it really feels clunky.
It does feel clunky, yeah.
It doesn't feel
It drops
good.
your buffered punish as well, because it like if you parry it and then immediately
It's
just
outside of the
forward
frame
smash,
threshold, is that what you're saying?
yeah, and then you're actually stuck there for 20 frames instead of 10 or whatever. Then you just do nothing after, and
Yeah, you just stand
that's
there
definitely
and you look
gotten me
stupid.
hit before, where
Yeah.
I've parried it and then it drops the punish.
Yeah. And so, where would we end on that in regards to your opinion, Jason? Would you prefer, like, next installment of Smash, by and large speaking, would you prefer, like, parrying or power shielding?
I didn't even think about that, to be honest. Like, what are they going to do for the next one? I think based off basically every other Nintendo game that's ever existed, I think parrying probably comes back.
Probably.
Yeah.
I think that
I think they could definitely do some stuff to it. I think, like, low-key, it might sound, like, hyperbolic, but, like, chop, like, a 10-frame advantage window if you parry something. Like, honestly. Like, something absurd. Like, it doesn't make sense for you to parry a move and for it to still be safe. That's my only gripe.
Yeah.
Okay.
Really.
Especially since
I've
like,
come
shield
around to,
dropping
like,
is already
parrying
bad.
because I've gotten a bit better at it. I'm still not great,
Yeah.
but, like, I've gotten better at it.
Yeah. I think
So I've come around, but, like, just make it so you can punish a move if you parry it.
I'm like hella biased towards power shielding, but Ben's point of like, you kind of, this exists in pretty much every Smash game where you run up and you shield and you kind of like vaguely anticipate or hope to catch a power shield and then you just respond to the sound. It wasn't like a great display of like necessarily skill. So I definitely agree with that point. Like the risk reward was probably too low. Like you really couldn't get punished for like running up and shielding.
Yeah.
But then getting a successful parry and like ultimate, like again, like the risk reward is again slanted. It's like not enough.
maybe they should just do like a dual kind of thing and make it so that you can power shield only projectiles and then parry.
Oh, please let me
both
power
at
shield.
the end.
Please let me power shield projectiles.
Because
man.
projectiles kind of need to be deleted in general.
I feel like parrying projectiles just feels so clunky. Actually, it just feels not right.
Yeah.
That should be power shielding. I think moves I could cop parrying, but like, projectiles, it just feels so clunky to do that.
I should be able to approach and stop your projectile if I...
Well, we've been playing Brawl and
we power
you are
shield projectiles all the time.
This game is like considered campy, but if you like are lazy with like 2 projectiles in a row, like if you blast it twice as Wolf and they're switched on, you're just getting grabbed or hit.
Yeah.
Because it's like shield, and they've covered half the stage, and you're getting hit.
Yeah,
which I think is good. You have to be really switched on.
Even though brawlers are considered slow, as you said, like if Ben uses Blaster twice in a row, he gets like dash attacked or grabbed or something.
Yeah, do it to Falco. You're like, you can't chain grab me. I'm on the other side of the stage. Blaster. Oh, he's here. He's grabbed me. I'm dead now. Yeah.
I think at the end of the day, if you, from a design point of view, if you want the risk to be that you die from missing your power shield, then the reward should be that you kill the opponent.
Yeah.
For getting it.
Risk reward across like a lot of Smash games, but particularly Ultimate, that's probably the single biggest issue I had. We touched on this last podcast as well. Like the risk reward for characters in this game is like very skewed, I think. And that's like a problem. Like, shout out to Villager walking at you and just up tilting. Like the risk reward. And the quintessential one we touched on again last week was like Bayonetta up B in Smash 4. It's just, that's why that move was so broken, because there is no risk. And the reward is like she may kill you or do like 60%. And on to Bayonetta, how do you feel about to Jason, how do you feel about the balance of the game right now? I also wanted to ask you if you thought solo maining was viable, but I'll touch on why I wanted to ask that further, but I want to get your base opinion on that. On
the balancing.
Yeah.
Yeah. it's like, in all honesty, it's pretty cool that like you can basically play who you want, and you can, especially in Australia, you can play like literally whoever you want.
Yeah.
Outside of maybe a few characters, like I think if you're playing Little Mac, you're not going to get like OzPR or anything, right? But like there was like the last OzPR was, and all three of them were in a row, and it was like DK, Bowser, and K. Rool, just like all in a row. So I think it's pretty cool that they've given like avenue to like a lot of characters. It does make for inconsistency, which is like we've all heard it before. It's why like there are so many upsets, like especially at top level, like in America, because there's just a lot of shit that like you don't know. Like you don't know why this fucking Lucas is shitting on you, but the Lucas does because he's a character specialist.
Yeah.
And that's what you get when everyone's viable. And at the start of the game, I was like, oh yeah, it's really cool that there's just like 60 different characters that you can play. But I think I've come to the realization that it's just like,
less is more.
Dude, it's just like
just too much.
It's like a crazy man who has like a pipe dream, and then you're like, I'll make every character viable, and you're like, you can't do that, dude.
Yeah.
And he did it, but like, was it worth? Like, probably not.
Yeah.
I'd probably be about having like a more condensed viable cast. That does come into like the second point that you were talking about solo maining, because there are just random fucking low tiers that just like beat up top tiers, and sometimes you just lose. Like if you're a Snake, you'll just lose to Lucas or Mega Man or fucking whoever. There's nothing you can do about it.
We haven't really seen that in any other Smash game as well. Like, usually if you are a genuine, like, top or high tier character, you just don't lose to low tiers. Like, almost period. Like, if you look at Diddy, Sheik, Bayonetta from Smash 4 or whatever, there's just no shot. Like, you might, maybe, get like a 40-60 probably at worst in your, even like your mid to low tiers. And Brawl it was even worse. Like, you're looking at 80-20s, like, across the board. Like, you're just not going to lose to any of these characters. Which I guess is, like, a good thing, that they can, like, these matchups are not completely unplayable, but yeah, the reality, like, yeah, if you had that sort of balance but across like 40 characters, I think it would be preferable. I was kind of like you. I definitely wanted like just like, yeah, give me every character. I mean, that's just sick. Like, how could that be a bad thing? But then you realize like how many hours and sets do you have to play against a certain character to really understand that matchup?
Yeah.
There should be more 80-20 matchups. Like characters like Ganondorf, Little Mac, Zelda. These characters should not be playable.
Yeah. Unique characters that invalidate other
they
characters
are all
just to remove them.
Poorly designed characters. And yeah, they just shouldn't be playable. There's nothing wrong, I think, with having a metagame where you have like 10 or 15 characters that are considered viable and everyone's kind of either gatekeeper or not viable. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. But I guess when you have 80 characters and you've only got 15 characters, I guess it looks bad on Nintendo's part if they're just not even trying to balance it, I suppose.
I mean, 15's too low.
15's too low for the cast that we have.
I think in Smash 4 there was like 20 to 25 characters that you could play.
Which, how many characters were there in Smash 4? Like 50?
56 or 58?
Well, you're looking about half the cast-ish. And I feel like that's not that bad. And there was definitely upsets from characters like lower on that tier list, like Link getting it, whatever tournament was, Civil War, getting second.
Oh, with T.
Yeah, like you can do it. You're probably not going to do it over the course of a long time because people will adjust and your character is weaker and people will learn the matchups. But it could be done. And having like, if you have 50 characters in your cast roughly, and like 20 of them, 25 of them are like pretty good, I think you've done a pretty good job. You know, so that's not too bad.
I was going to say something about Ultimate, but I've forgotten. It was like... Nah, man, I've fucked it. Oh, well.
So, how much, like, you've barely... I'm not sure. How much Melee have you played? Have you entered many of the tournaments for this game at all?
I'm like... We had, like, Melee tournaments at EBS. But they were kind of with people around my level. And then every now and then we'd have... a few actual melee players rock up. I'm 2-0 on Jamwa. If you don't know who Jamwa is, I'm pretty sure back in the day he might have been melee PR, but I'm not sure. Or at least like HMs or something.
Yeah.
Because he's old as hell. But I'm 2-0 on Jamwa. If that's
way too good.
He's a brawler.
Huge.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, he was on my
he
my
played
way, I
Brawl.
think, wasn't he?
Yeah.
So he played Wolf.
I mean, he was
Lucas,
Vic PR on
didn't he?
Brawl.
Sorry,
Lucas.
I don't know.
Yeah,
Okay,
Lucas in this.
Some
He
other
played.
kids.
He was Brawl PR in
I think
Victoria.
I'm thinking of another like Jammer person on like my way. I think there was another person by that name, but I was mainly asking about melee because I wanted to sort of get an idea of how many Smash games you'd played at a decent level. Because I wanted you to sort of just. It's hard to do because Ultimate is not over. Like its scene is not, hasn't died yet. But I wanted you to sort of compare how you feel about each of these games, sort of holistically, in comparing Ultimate to previous titles. Mostly Smash 4 because it's the most recent one and it's probably the most similar engine-wise and everything. So if you want to have a chat about that.
Just as like a whole. I don't know,
Well,
man.
do you actively know which game you prefer out of the series? Out of I assume the other one would be Smash 4, but that's a guess from my part.
Yeah. Look, to be honest, it's just one of those things where it's like we had that phase right before Pixel 100 where like Andre and I would like play Smash 4 and like Ben would play Smash 4, and it was like a lot of fun. But for some reason, like I know in my head I'm like, yeah, I love Smash 4 over like Ultimate, but it's hard to play. It would be hard to play like Smash 4 casually, like now with like people. I don't know. It's weird, and like you guys are playing Brawl a bunch, like when you guys are all over, and it's like probably fun, but like
Was for a while.
can you see yourself like can you see yourself sustaining like playing Brawl like casually
For
to
sure.
an
To
extent?
be honest,
sure, absolutely.
To be honest, actually,
God, yeah.
yes.
This game, Brawl, actually feels outside of like random tripping. Like this game feels very.
It feels
fluid and-
better than I remember it.
Yeah.
Genuinely. And I know we're not playing it we're not playing fully to win. We're not like hard camping. But I think when you go back to a game, like we know what it becomes if we play like absolutely to like peak like campiness. And there's sort of a gentleman's thing of like let's not play that way. We're
Dial
bringing
it
this
back
back.
a
We're
bit.
not playing for like money or anything. We're playing competitively, but we're also just like kind of having fun. But so it is like a casual setting. So I mean, at the moment, I'm like actually really enjoying it, to be honest. I think I could play it for like a few more months.
Yeah, I mean, it's fair enough. I probably couldn't do that with Smash 4.
Yeah, I reckon. What?
Maybe if there was like a group of people.
Yeah.
Like not even 3. Maybe if there was like a group of people and it sustained itself to an extent.
Yeah.
Like within a friend group, I could play it.
Okay, well, hypothetically, if the entire country overnight drops Smash Ultimate and starts hosting Smash 4 tournaments again, but you would just go back and start
Obviously.
playing it.
Obviously, yeah, for sure.
So then, what would you only not play it casually with like a group of people because you think it would hinder your Ultimate performance?
No, just because it's like, well, I don't play games much at all. Anyway,
Yep.
the last, whatever, how long I've been working.
Yep.
So it's kind of like it's just like playing a game casually, like I said.
Yeah.
It's not like playing
Without the
Ultimate and
competitive
keeping up with the
drive.
scene exactly without the competitive sense of it.
So you play Ultimate
like,
mainly for
my
like the competition aspect of it, more so than the actual love of the game itself.
Well, it's still Smash.
Yeah.
It's not like I obviously I prefaced the start of the previous discussion with saying that it's dog shit, but it's really not. It's not dog shit, right?
No.
It's a good game.
Yeah.
It's like,
It just has a few major problems.
well, dude, it just has some problems that I disagree with.
Yep.
That like from a complete like ultra sweat competitive standpoint that I would change.
Mm-hmm.
But like, and saying this casually, this game is fantastic because there are so many characters and there are so many good characters that it's. I don't know if people feel this way, but like when I'm playing, like I was playing random at a party last night with someone, and I was just like, I was never like, oh damn, dude, I have Bowser Jr. Whereas in Smash 4, I was like, dude, I have to play Bowser Jr. for the next 3 minutes. This sucks ass. Fuck this.
This happens in Brawl. If you get one of like the bottom 15 characters, you're like, please.
Yeah,
then
like, imagine if you're playing like random with melee, like on melee setup, and you're just like, oh, sick, I'm Kirby now. Like
they don't function.
Whatever.
Yeah, they don't even feel like complete characters in some of these games.
So yeah, I mean, I do play right now. Like if the people I hang out with in the scene all spontaneously combusted, I couldn't really see myself going to many tournaments.
Okay.
I would still do like the 40 and like TO Rambats or whatever. But like I really wouldn't go to stuff if it wasn't for... Like I'm not going to tournaments and being like, oh cool, I can play P9. This is cool. Like this is what I live for. It's not. But that's just me right now.
Okay.
That's even happened a lot in Queensland as well at the moment, where a lot of the Smash 4 vets, or even people who joined early Ultimate, they all kind of knew each other, they had their friends, and then everyone, basically, when events came back after COVID, at the same time, everyone's like, I have other things. I still enjoy the game, and I would rock up if everyone else rocked up, but everyone at the same time has just stopped going by and large.
Yeah.
So now it's kind of a different community in Queensland. So you kind of have these like 20, 30 of us who are kind of like, I'd kind of like to keep going to events, but because no one else is, I don't want to.
All right. Yeah, I'm kind of...
Yeah.
Sorry, you go.
Well, I was just going to add filler, so go ahead.
I was just going to say, like, I was curious as like a thought experiment what it would take for me to start playing like Smash again. And I've thought about if people started hosting like Brawl tournaments in Queensland, and if they were getting entrants, or if it was Smash 4 and they were getting entrants, and sort of what it would take for me to actually attend events, which I found pretty interesting. Ultimately, it's like there's like no way, honestly, for me that I'm gonna take the time out of my sort of weeks to do that. Certainly to practice, like there's no shot. Maybe I could like attend like one tournament a year for a bit of fun, and just to, again, as you touched on, just like see everyone hang out with, like, for me, like sort of some old friends. But I feel like I genuinely would attend Brawl and Smash 4 tournaments, because I feel like I've realized how much I underappreciated Smash 4 as a game, mainly due to my like hate of Bayonetta. But outside of that, I think I enjoyed that game so much as like a... I mean, I've always been like really competitive. I always like really enjoyed competing. That was sort of the big thing for me. But just the actual like game itself of Smash 4 and Brawl, I've realized that I like enjoyed more than I thought I did, which is kind of annoying because I attended so few tournaments when I had such an opportunity to. So it's a bit a shame that I wasted this game that's now dead that I really actually enjoyed, which is a pity.
Yeah, you could have had the highest win rate on Smash.
I could have, yeah.
Of any game, but you let Spud's Project Melee win rate take it out.
Whatever. I'm awaiting my glorious return, or maybe I'll come back for Nintendo 64 or something and just start carving up or something.
Nintendo 64.
Yeah, I'll carve that up. I'll just get on that scene. Sure, there's a scene for that somewhere in Australia.
Yeah, we have one guy and he's world class.
Yeah, you said you he's got like top 12 or something. It's SEO, CEO or something.
Yeah.
Well, good luck.
Oh, I learned from the best. Moving on to another point, which is one of the big reasons that I started this podcast with Aaron and Ben was that I felt like there was such a hole in relation to like content for the Smash scene in Australia, and I think it's a pretty big hole for Smash worldwide, but particularly in Australia, in terms of things like journalism, like set reviews, podcasts. Like there's such a gap, like a chasm of stuff there that I feel like for the amount of players that we have and for how long this scene has been alive for, that really hasn't been filled for like a long time. But the main point I was wanting to talk about was, what do you feel like was missing from like a community standpoint when you first joined Smash 4? And what do you think could be done better moving forward into the next installment of Smash? In terms of like, I guess, gaining interest and creating maybe like journalism or storylines, or just getting people more interested in narratives, maybe related to the actual game. Because I feel like there's a huge like... We had this thing on Oz Smash, or Queensland Smash, a few years ago, where like people were posting articles for Smash 4, which they weren't always great. They weren't like professionally done or anything, but most of them, like you would read them. I feel like a lot of people read these and were quite interested by them, and that has since stopped and it hasn't been replaced by anything. And I feel like that sort of stuff is really missing from our scene to really create like an interest in like intensity and rivalries and get people to like watch a set, not just because it's two good players playing, but like, oh, like there's like backstory to this that is interesting or something.
Historical context.
Yeah.
I mean, there are people that do stuff like this.
Yeah.
It's just, I think it doesn't really appeal to people outside of the scene to like garner interest. But there's a lot of good stuff that people are making for like people in the scene. Like they understand the context of like a joke that happened or like this set. Like if you just showed, and I'll take full credit for creating the hype around spammage and tricks at Phantom, which ended up being like a complete blowout. Just to add on. But if you showed someone the video I made of the Queensland Rambat from outside of the scene, they'd be like, I don't know what's going on. Right? But everyone in the scene was like, holy shit, like what the fuck? Spammage said this and Strix is fucking coming to Queensland, holy shit! But like no one outside of the scene would really get that, right?
Yeah.
That's the kind of content that's like going on in like Smash right now.
Okay.
Like Chip has the mic'd up, which is really good. Obviously like we have Dumb For Real, which is like we didn't even realize how many people listen to this, but like we got so many people coming up to us at Phantom being like, oh dude, potty viewer.
That's cool.
I'm like, literally don't know who you are.
That's sick.
Thanks anyway. Yeah, and there's just like a bunch of other stuff, but like you're correct in saying that like I know for me, like when I found Quinta Smash, I was like, oh, articles. I'm a film student. I'm a like creative dude. Like I like making stuff. Have a look at these articles. And I read through whatever articles there were at the time, or like read through the threads and stuff like that. And there's some stuff out there, but there's not much to garner new people in. So stuff could definitely be done about that. I've also been told multiple times about people. The big one is like Ernest L, who got showed a Duon, like one of the Duon 40 player cards. One of those ones, and he was like, this is like insane, and I'm gonna sweat out now because I want to play a card.
Oh, that's really cute.
This is before he even joined the scene.
Oh shit!
Right?
Yeah.
He just got shown a player card by like someone. He played Smash like casually.
Yeah. At
Monash, but then he just like found the player cards and he's like, oh, I want one.
That is such a good idea. Like I remember like being 13 and looking at a PR, and it was, we have stacks of these now, but like having their little images and their theme and everything and being like, I want to be on that.
Yeah.
And I was literally like, I want Billy to draw a little Red Little Mac for it to be fine on the thing. Yeah. And then little did we know that I would end up making them, but like at the time I was like, I want Splice to make my fucking Little Mac. Little Inbred dude. Yeah. And I'm sure everyone looked at, when they started joining the scene and being like, PR, would love to be on that one.
PRs have always been kind of like the standard for people to like aspire to. Like that's always kind of been a thing for years and years and years.
The saddest part is that there are like, these don't exist like outside of like America anymore. I mean, outside of Australia.
Really?
Like, they exist to an extent, but like obviously like the PR culture in Australia has always been like, we'll have 3 seasons, we'll have 3 or 4 months in a season, we're gonna get a nice graphic, we'll do the 40 as well. It's
much more of a tradition.
So extravagant in Australia, dude. And it's like, I remember SoCal, like one of the PRs, like not recently, maybe like a year ago, but they were like, here's the PR guys, and it's like a notepad.
Oh,
like,
no.
Yeah.
No. And I was like, oh shit, dude. But it's like, no, we're actually gonna get like Captain Kool-Aid to like fucking paint like a painting based off like 2 famous artworks and like do them as Nintendo characters. And that's like the South Australian PR. Exactly. Yeah. And like all the stuff your brother did in Smash 4 as well.
And the Bunnings,
like
the Bunnings
everyone was
PR,
like, oh wow. Yeah, exactly. The Bunnings PR, like
it's something to look forward to, you know. It's a
You
real,
gotta,
it's
you want,
a,
you
it's
gotta
a novel
incentivize
event.
people to push to that.
Yeah.
And you want them to get invested and involved in it, and
Yeah.
and all, like the release to be exciting and stuff. And,
Yeah.
Queensland's kind of dropping the ball on that. I think every Queensland PR is like 3 or 4 months out of date, and then by the time they release their PR, the next season
Yeah,
is ending.
they've been having some troubles
and it's
with artists
like
and
that
stuff
needs
like
to
that.
like be fixed.
Because it takes the hype out of it. It's people stop caring after a while, and especially if it happens time after time after time.
I think the last like
people
3
start
have been
thinking,
like late.
What
I
am
remember
even looking
the
forward
last
to here?
the last one was actually absurd. I remember looking at it and I was like, "That's a cool looking PR." Like the Fortnite one that they did, and I was like, "Chirapon 7th." Chirapon hasn't been to a tournament in 7 months. He's 7th in Queensland. It's a bit. Leshy was on it. I was like, "This bloke lives 5 minutes down the road from me and has so for the last 8 months."
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean it's a bit unfortunate. I don't know what their issues are with the artist, but I mean yeah. Hopefully,
Find a new artist.
Yeah.
I don't know. I can't speak. I'm not a Queensland TO or a PR panelist for that matter. That's a deep cut, but yeah,
You were once.
I don't know. That's the deep cut, mate.
Yeah.
I'm curious, like Ben mentioned the word hype, and a lot of like this whole topic comes back to that, and sort of how to more like appropriately gain sort of interest and hype around like the scene, and sort of getting involved in it and doing things in it, whether that's competing at a high level or making content for it, or just like whatever you're doing.
Maybe it's posters again. Remember
Posters?
Yeah, like the PMS poster.
EG games or
That's
something
can't
like
be
that.
having that one again. No shot. Well, I will say what this. So this is how different our sort of Smash culture is now. Back in what year would this have been? 2008 or
2008, 2009.
yeah, so 2008ish, around about like the sort of early-ish Brawl days, maybe like a year into it or something. We had a TO basically make posters for a tournament which was abbreviated PMS.
We should get Kion to give us a photo of that and then put it
Yeah,
on.
we should. He probably has one. Yeah, the tier was Kion
still has
/
it. He still has
Shitashi.
the poster.
I think I have one somewhere in my room, actually. But so the tournament was abbreviated PMS, which is like not great. And then the poster was basically, just can't imagine this now. It was Zero Suit Samus like making out with Pikachu, essentially.
It was a popular ship because back in Brawl, like Zero
Yeah.
Suit Samus and Pikachu run through the like spaceship or whatever.
Yeah.
Subspace
Ah,
Samus, yeah.
in
Yeah,
the
true,
subspace.
true.
All right.
Yeah, and so
I ship
that's
it,
why they were together.
Yeah. Which you just can't get anything further from that like today at all. Which could all open up a whole other can of worms, which I do want to talk about at some point on one of these podcasts, but probably not today. But yeah. Posters. Do you guys do any posters in Victoria?
I'm currently in the process of making a pamphlet for the Arcadian,
Oh yeah. Oh, like a good pamphlet.
which is like
Kind of like
Yeah,
poster,
we have-
right?
yeah,
It's
poster-like,
poster,
yeah.
but
it's paper.
where are you gonna put it though? Like you're not like
Arcade
delivering it.
at the Arcadian, mate. So we're gonna have them like at all the setups and like at the front desk, and you can like if you're new, you can like pick it up and you can read like the Vic Smash pamphlet, and it has all the information. It has like the stages to
That
set
sh-
the
that
TOs,
shit's cool.
tournaments.
I like that. Stuff like that.
Yeah,
needs
we're
to be done.
stealing it off Sydney. We're
Yeah.
not going to take full credit.
That's all
We
right.
stole it from Sydney.
Well,
That is-
everyone should be doing
that
that
is
sort of
cool.
stuff.
Sydney
so
did it.
that doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Yeah, that everyone needs to be doing that sort of stuff, and
But I mean, it's not really advertising the Arcadian. Though.
no,
That's
not
the-
if it's at the Arcadian.
if it's at the arcade,
Oh,
like
well-
because
Well, the
Yeah.
Arcadian's the entry point, because a lot of people who would normally say, "Oh, I don't go to that event. That's like for the
But it's about,
competitors."
like-
that
Yeah,
kind of
exactly.
thing.
advertising the Arcadian, right? Like,
Well,
like that's
Era
what
is saying, how do you
PMS's
actually
poster
get
was.
them? Yeah, he's saying, how do you get them to the
Well,
Arcadian?
people are, at least
You go on Facebook.
in my
and this
experience.
is apparently what Jack did last time.
okay.
Is you go on Facebook and you say if you enter this Arcadian, you're going to a draw to win free Luigi's Mansion on 3DS.
Pretty good.
Apparently, that's why we got 230 people at the last
And
one.
if you listen to our podcast, we'll give you $100 as well.
Well, for the
I want to do
Queensland
that.
Arcadian- the
Get that
Queensland
viewership
Arcadian
boost.
Yeah.
had about 140,
By bribing
160 attendees, I want to say, in 2019.
Yeah.
And what we did was we kind of marketed it in a way that the people who don't normally go to events almost wanted to hear. Because a a lot of people, like on the Facebook page, they lurk and that kind of thing. If you tried to say, hey, come to Friday Night Smash, you'd like it. They kind of say, I don't really take it that competitively. I'm not good enough for it. That's not really for me. That's for the competitors. Where we all know, as soon as you rock up, congrats, you're a competitive Smash player now.
You get hooked.
That's all it takes. You know, there's no qualification to be a competitive Smash player. But a lot of people in their minds, they kind of see it as like league or whatever. Like you kind of have to be in it already to participate. So Arcadians, it was slightly disingenuous, but we'd kind of word it like, hey, this is the event you can go to. You know, for all you newcomers, like this is.
You gave permission.
Yeah, basically. We basically gave permission to people saying like, hey, this is the one that you want to go to. This is the one you can go to. And you got all these people who would lurk and never go to events like, oh, I'd love to make it if I can, blah, blah, blah. So you're almost, because they're expecting that, like, they already have in their mind that they can't normally go.
Yeah.
And then we got 160 people or whatever.
That's massive.
And then once you get them, you're like, hey, now we have all these other events.
You heard of
You're
FNS?
in. Yeah, you heard of FNS, blah, blah, blah. You go in here.
Yeah, and they're in by that point.
And then they're in.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got a lot of people that way.
Yeah.
The Arcadian we announced SAS at, which was pretty
Right,
cracked.
that's cool.
Because SAS came back for like, before COVID or whatever.
Was that still
so we had like
at
a trailer made up.
Was that still at the
No, it was
ED
at
Games?
RMIT.
Okay.
No, it was at RMIT on Swanston. So we were like, hey, you 230 fucking idiots, don't know how to play Smash, come here. There's free city tournament on a Friday night. Do this. And so SAS blew up. Then SAS were getting like 100 people a week.
Yeah.
Free tournament in the city.
It was struggling,
really,
wasn't it? It was kind of struggling to run. That had so much demand, so many people.
Oh
wanted to
yeah,
play. Yeah.
It was. We didn't finish a single one.
Yeah.
But that doesn't matter
matter,
because
it did its job.
the people we're trying to gather interest for are already out of the bracket by the time.
Yeah.
Right.
Like Ignis doesn't care that it doesn't finish, and Nick doesn't care that it doesn't finish.
Yeah, especially
Like his
a free
experience is the
tournament,
same.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But like
But everyone else feel long gone that they
Simple
had a great
Dicks
time.
4, has had a great time going
Yeah.
02 or whatever. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So he's come now. He's
That's great.
How did you end up deciding? Where did the idea for the Duon 40 originate?
Oh, mate. Okay. So, what would it have been? So I started in May of 2015, and they literally released the new PR like 3 weeks after I started.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, oh, that's cool. And then I was getting pretty good after like a month and a half in. I was like, yeah, beating Jay. I'm sick.
After a month.
I wonder where I am. Yeah.
Nice. Well, that's good. Impressive.
I think in like July, end of July or like start of July, like somewhere in July, I beat Jay at a guff.
Mm-hmm.
It was like the 4th guff that we had. I was like, I wonder where I am. Oh, well, no one cares where I am because I'm not top 10.
Yep.
But I was like, oh, I wonder where I think I am. So I look at the list of people in like Queensland Smash, and I'm like, I think I'm here, like 17th or 18th or whatever. So I made like a 20-man. There were 20.
Right.
That's what I started doing, like in my
So
spare time. I
You
was like,
you were just
make it-
shit, and you made a list big enough that you would eventually be on it, basically.
Yeah, basically.
Perfect.
Yeah.
And it was 20 because I was like
Because you were
the first
20th.
one I did. Well, at the start of August, I was like, oh, I think I'm like 18th or whatever.
Yeah.
In Victoria, probably around this.
Make a round number. 20.
Yeah, make a round number, literally. And then I was like, oh, 20. Let's do that. So I did 20 for ages. These are all lost to the void. These are on my old computer.
Yeah.
I have no idea where they are. But I made like these little images of like 20 player like PRs or whatever. And then I make a PR in like January. So like 7 months. And then I got on the PR panel like 3 months later because I was talking with Jay and Dean at a tournament. I was like, oh, Tib should be here and this should be here. Like, this is how it works. I was like, I'm 4th because of this result and this result. And Jay's like, you know what? You're actually correct. You're spot on, mate. And so I got on, and then right before BAM, I did like a tier list. I don't think it was 40. I think it was 25 people. And I was also a TO at SAS. And this photo was on my phone because I would sit on the train, I would look at it, and I'd be like, oh my god, I'm so good at graphic design. Like, look at this photo I'm looking at on the train.
Yep.
And so we TO'd SAS, and what we do is we have our phones to run the challenge bracket. And Ignis was like, hey, can I use your phone for the bracket? And I was like, yeah, here's the password. So he takes the phone, leaves for like 15 minutes, and then comes back and gives me the phone. And I was like, oh, cool. And he's like, you should release that picture. I was like, what do you mean? He's like, the picture on your phone of like everyone ranked. I was like, Ignis, he's swooping through my phone.
Yeah, it's a bit sketchy.
No. He's like, no, when I unlocked it, it was there. It was the last thing you were looking at.
Sure. Believe that.
And I was like, okay. He's like, you should release that because that's cool. Like, knowing where Hydropimp and Jadizzle is.
Yeah.
Like, if they're 18th or 22nd or whatever. And I was like, alright, whatever. Like, you're better than me, I think. So, like, I'll just listen to you.
Yeah, I'll just agree with you.
So,
it's totally unrelated.
I'll just agree with you. You seem like a pretty well thought out individual, Ignis.
You thought.
So then I made a 50. I'll just fucking go balls to the wall. Let's do it. I'll do a 50. I'll add all the inactive players. I'll add Bin, who I put like 8th. I put Bin 8th above like Jay. He wasn't happy.
Jesus.
Shane wasn't happy. That's another one. He was not happy with me after I released this bad boy.
J got you that power, got you in the scene, and instantly regretted it.
So I released this 50, and I was like, oh, that's cool. That's the end of that. We're good to go. Go to the next ramp-up. People coming up to me, and they're like, hey, when's the next ranking? When's the next one, huh? And I was like, oh, look, I don't know. And he's like, let's see the next one. So I've been convinced by like the people to like do another one.
Yep.
But I was like, oh, you know what? I'm gonna remove all the inactive players because it was a bit bullshit that I put Bin above Jay, who hasn't been to a tournament before. So I'll remove all the inactive players and I'll lower it a bit. So I'll put it to 40, right? So I release this 40 like a month later and go to the next tournament and they're like, oh, when's the next 40? When's the next Duon 40 coming out? Like, when's this happening? And I was like, you've just made up a name. You people are calling it the Duon 40. And they're like, yeah, when's the next one? Huh? I was like, all right, fine, I'll do another one. Fuck you. So I do another one. And obviously, this cycle's just going to keep on
seeing
going.
A pattern forming here,
yeah, exactly. So like every 2 months.
Yeah.
The vicious cycle. So I released one, and then eventually it got to the point where I was like, I had like made like 3 or 4 at that point, and I was like, I want a spot where I can keep all these. So I made the Twitter account, Duon for the Twitter account, and I released a schedule and a system, and then I got the thing going, and then it just fucking went off from there.
Can't wait to make the Queensland 150. That's going to be sick for me.
Well, it's interesting because it didn't just influence the competitive drive and work ethic in Victoria, but all of Australia, because now every community has their own Duon 40 rebrand.
Dude,
that was the thing, and a lot of people didn't have these because I remember when I made that article about Queensland being shit, I was like,
true, read about that.
I was like, you guys really should do something like make a Duon 40, but for Queensland.
Well, that's the good thing about it is because you want to have like your PR, which is like your top 10, where it's like, man, like well done. You got top 10, like that's really impressive, and you get so it's sort of a big thing of note. But you want everyone else to be able to sort of track their progress and grow and sort of see their results and their improvement as well.
Yeah.
Hence the 40, where it's like I'm some 2-2 shit or something, but I can still track myself and get to climb up all of these fucking rankings, which is a really, really good idea. Actually,
I mean, it's just like the PR, but like it's minor, right? Like it's
but
the
you
thing that
do want
you
them like
aspire
you don't
to,
want
right?
the whole PR to just be like the 40, even though that totally makes sense. But you want like I feel like you want the PR separate, just because even if you had like almost like the 10 to 40, and then you had another image or something of just the 10, because it's like has
and that's
more
what
weight
Adelaide
to it.
does.
Yeah,
They have it that way.
That's
as well.
cool. Yeah, because you really want to like incentivize that and be like really well done.
Because they serve two different functions.
Yeah.
That are both good, but I think it's good to keep them separate from each other. Yeah. Otherwise,
equal but separate.
Yeah. Equal but separate.
Yeah.
In Smash 4, I would change the PR on the 40 if I disagreed with it.
You'll
You
change.
know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I mean,
so let's say like a PR and a 40 came out at the same time. Because in Smash 4, they were off, like center, like they didn't come out at the same time. Because a 40 was every 2 months and a PR was every 3 months. So it would be a bit weird.
Yeah.
But twice a year, they would come out at the same time. And so sometimes I'd be like, you know what? I actually think Zetman's above Cameron. So I'm just going to do that.
I mean, it's your opinion
And ignore
piece,
the
right?
PR.
Yeah.
Well, that's what it was. That's what it was at the time.
Yeah.
But now it's like connected and
Okay.
the same.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, Queensland made a very conscious decision of staggering the releases, where they're both 3-month periods, but the 40 will always release about like basically halfway through the PR season. So it's a different period, different set of results. So it can be a different top 10 without any qualms, rather than like
that's sneaky. That's a have an each way bet, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's fine.
It
was a good compromise.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
You get to pick which one you want.
What do you mean?
So like the 40's out and the PR's out, but I'm higher in the 40.
Which one?
And I'll be like, I'm
legitimate?
fourth in Queensland.
Yeah, whatever's most.
I'll tell
recent
people I'm
usually.
fourth in Queensland.
Well, I mean,
recent.
if it's
if you go on somewhere else and you want a higher seed, I'm number 1 in Queensland.
Yeah.
Can you please see me?
Yeah.
I mean,
But
if
then-
it's done by the same panel, then I mean, it's basically the same thing, though, right?
But if I go over and beat Jay Dizzle in Victoria, I'll be like, I'm only number 12 on the 40.
Yeah,
And
I really-
him losing.
Yeah.
That's pretty rough.
That's good.
Right. Yeah.
So, gotta open another can of worms here as well, which is the concept of talent versus hard work in terms of how to improve as a Smash player, and which one's sort of more connected to sort of your success. So, I want everyone here actually we're going to give you a scale of 1 to 10. And I want you to sort of rank yourself how talented of a player you think you are inherently as a player, whatever that means to you. I'll go first. I reckon like a 7.
You're like an 8.
Really? I think I'm an 8.
I'm
I think you're like a
more
9.
talented than you for sure.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
I would say you're at least an 8.
All right. Well, I tell you what, we'll discuss this. We'll go. I say I'll go 7. Ben.
I couldn't speak for myself in the talent department. Maybe that's a bit of a cop out, but I'll give myself a 1 for the hard work.
What? No, but I want
For hard work, that's a 1. So I guess that makes me a
can't
9.
be a 1.
That makes me a 9. For
Surely,
talent,
even just
though.
like playing a lot is like some element of hard work.
I guess so.
It's
I don't
it's
know.
on the
Like,
scale.
I've never really labbed.
It's time invested.
I've-
It's time invested.
Well,
But the time invested has not by any means been made efficiently.
yeah.
hasn't been,
It's not
you
just
know.
time invested, because you have to like if your practice is not efficient,
Yeah.
then or if you're not even like trying to make it efficient, then you're not working like that hard.
Yeah. Like, I've put time in, but I would not say I've worked particularly hard.
Give yourself a talent ranking going. 1 to 10.
Talent, maybe an 8. I'll give myself an 8.
Okay. Now we're driving. All right, error.
Like a 4.
Okay.
I
And-
don't think I'm particularly talented.
And Jason, you thought like an 8 for yourself?
Yeah, but you fucked the scale.
Well, this is an easy thing to think about, right? So you think of like, who is the most talented player in like Australia, whoever that occurs to you. So I would, for me, off the top of my head, thinking of
Bradley.
everyone I've played against, I would say like
Bradley.
Bradley, ZXV if you've ever played him. I played him in Brawl and I was just like unbelievable.
He's strong.
Toki.
Amaterasu, Toki, these guys are freaks, total freaks, freaks of nature. Then you think of like who's just the biggest pile of shit, the worst, least talented, but maybe they work hard and they've gotten somewhere, but their talent level is just not there. Now I think
Jack Gorman.
you think Jack Gorman. You've also said to me like Nick extra, which
Well, Nick. Well, no. Okay, so Nick is obviously Nick's like really smart.
right, yeah,
But like it's so hard to like define talent. Like
Yes,
he's good
yeah,
at he's
it
good
is.
at a lot of games.
right. I think if you're good at a lot of games, that is an indicator that you are talented at Smash.
Yeah.
You know, Because it would be weird if you were just like good at every other game and then you sucked at this, but then you worked really hard at Smash randomly and got good at it. I feel like you're probably just good at games, even if it took you a little bit longer. Yeah, but like discussing like what constitutes like talent is always a pretty interesting topic. For me, it's like, it's a bit of an eye test thing, which it's not very useful because it's kind of hard to talk about, but like basically your movement and I guess your spacing, really, and your conversions. But that's hard to say because like you can definitely just lab conversions out and get really good at them. But when someone comes into the scene and they haven't played that much, that's when you sort of note their talent. Really.
Yeah.
It's kind of hard to judge them once they've already become a top tier player. It's really hard to know what their sort of journey has looked like. But when they're first,
I mean, you can also look at like how fast.
Yeah, how fast the growth is.
Up.
Yeah,
like that's
Ben I remember sitting down with Ben at his first tournament. Well, I don't know if it was his first tournament. The first time I played him, and I'm playing him, and
what did he smell like?
Shit. Smelled like shit because he would shit himself. I'll go on a tangent here. I don't remember if he's asked me to come and play, or I think he did. I think he asked me to like for some friendlies. And this guy's walked up to me. He's asked me to come play his setup, and this guy smells like shit. Smells like actual shit. And I'm really big on like supporting new players, like young players, people at their first events and stuff. And he was like, I don't know, 16 or something. So I'm like, oh yeah, I'll play. Yeah, okay. Like you look sort of normal, like you seem all right, but you really do smell like shit.
I don't think we need to do this, do we? We don't need to. I think it's unnecessary.
So I go, I sit down and play like Falcon Dinners with this guy, and it's hard because I'm like, man, what's wrong with this dude? Like, but he's like playing pretty well, but man, does he stink? So I eventually leave, but eventually I learned that that day he had in fact shit himself. So my nose was on point, couldn't really miss it, but
aren't you talented?
Yeah, I am. My nose is really talented. Actually, that's a 9 out of 10 at least.
I think the worst part was on the day I thought, I'm doing such a good job. No one knows. I've burnt like 3 deodorant again. I've been standing outside all day. I'm only coming in for my games, in and out.
Dude,
no one will know. I had a cover story. I was like, yeah, I fell into the lake.
You told me that.
It's all the mud. It's all the sulfur in the mud on me.
Yeah. Oh, man.
I had it all figured out. I was like, you know what? I think I can get through this without.
You've walked up to the best player in the state and asked him for friendlies when you smell like actual shit because you've shit yourself. It's unreal. Oh, that's good. I don't remember what we were talking about, but I went and played Ben, and it was very clear that at his like first tournament or whatever that he had definite like Smash talent. It was just based on movement, just based on like spacing, like dashing around, avoiding things. Because people in Smash 4 like early first year were like so horrendously bad at just like you don't even know what it means to like have good movement, like just via like dashing. But everyone sucked at it. For some reason, I remember people accusing me of like, there was like a wave landing mechanic, because I thought I wave landed on platforms, literally. Because I would like double jump and land close enough to the platform and then like kind of fast forward and go straight into a dash. And they're like, oh, he's like wave landing. And I was like, what are you people, what game are you playing? But Ben didn't have this. Ben, like, you could see. So I would rate like Ben pretty high on talent factor because the first time I played him, he wasn't a competitive player yet. And you could really tell based on pretty much the movement. If you are just standing there like playing Falco and pressing B, I don't care how good you become at Smash, you are not talented. You're dog shit. Even if you become good later.
Calling someone out or something? This is very specific.
No, like it does. If you're Link there and you're going like arrow boomerang, you're not moving at all.
Yeah,
like
you're playing a single player.
That's totally fine because if you end up becoming a good player, great. But I couldn't say that you're a naturally like talented player based on that.
Because there's no evidence.
No.
Right. Yeah.
No.
Well, it's like eyeballing like.
And reaction speed is another.
How are you interacting with your opponent? How are you responding to the other person's actions rather than simply like, oh, okay, this is what I do. I always press my side B, then my down B, blah blah blah. Just like you're not actually interacting with anything. You're following a script basically. Where if someone's actually moving around what you're doing, changing up what they do in response to it, then you can eyeball that the cogs are turning in their brain.
Instead of just playing a rhythm game.
Yeah.
They're kind of they're cracking the puzzle, you know.
The worst part about this now, this is all fine and dandy back in the day, but now you go to a tournament and you're like, man, this new guy, never heard of him. he's a monster.
Yeah, total
talented
freak.
freak.
Yeah.
Total freak god. They have 4,000 hours in Smash Ultimate on Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
Nice.
Right.
They've
Yeah.
played the game like 8 times more than I have, and yeah.
So really, you're way better. Not even
Yeah,
close.
obviously.
Yeah, not even close.
I know that feeling.
Yeah. So do you think... So my opinion on this has actually completely changed. Because I remember talking about this do this with Aero years ago, and my opinion was actually like that talent was actually like the primary factor in if you would become like a good player in this country. I've actually completely 180 on that.
That's interesting. Why?
Because logically I don't see any reason why a specific individual cannot become a top tier player in this country.
Specifically for Ultimate or for
Any Smash game.
any Smash game?
Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe Melee's... Maybe this is like just requires something a little bit extra. But I don't see why any player
No.
could...
Melee's the opposite.
You think you could just become a top tier in Melee?
Yeah, you can just grind.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, I don't see any reason. Like, literally, what would be the argument as to why a certain player cannot get to like at least a high tier level in this country? Well, are you just incapable of pressing buttons? Can you just not? Are you incapable of learning how to like move, or is your reaction speed so terrible that you just are just gapped, just reaction speed wise? Like, what is the actual reason?
I think it would really depend on the game and what that game rewards in particular. Like something like Melee, where it's like, okay, how good are you at controlling your character? That's something that you can just learn with muscle memory. Basically, it doesn't require that requires hard work in learning it and getting used to it, but it doesn't require talent in pressing a button. Really, like you can just do it if you practice enough. Same with combos, like if Falco or Palo or whatever, it's just the same input that you need to do, and a lot of it doesn't require that much thought either, because it's often the same cutscene that plays. Really, there's no like defensive counterplay that you have to work around to make it work.
Perhaps you're right, because I'm thinking of like scenarios like Roy's, for example, using Nair, but they used it like close to the ground, so it's completely unpunishable. Like there's
no barrier for that.
Yeah, there's no barrier. It's not like, oh, I'm talented, so I can do that, or I'm not talented, so I can't do that. It's just you press the A button at a certain point in your jump, and now your move is completely unpunishable.
Well, I changed my idea on this because I realized a lot of things that I thought I couldn't do in my life personally outside of Smash, I thought I can't do that. I don't have an ability with that. I then learned to do through effort to get to like at least a reasonable degree. Singing would be one of them, and a few other things. But I thought I could never do that. I don't have that innate ability. I don't have that talent. And then through like enough work, you can get to a serviceable level at least.
Yeah.
And I don't know why. The more I think about it,
You couldn't play Zoe.
what? I couldn't play. True. I could not play Zoe at all for ages in League of Legends, and then grinded her out, learned, like watched people play her, just kept practicing, fed a bunch, and then got to a point where I can like play the character, because there's no like physical reason I cannot learn to play Zoe.
I think talent maybe comes more down to like mind games and stuff.
Yeah, maybe.
Like reading people.
That's true, because
that kind of
that's a
stuff.
hard thing to like practice.
That's it's not really like an easy thing to practice, and it's not
having
like,
a knack for it.
However, you definitely can get to a point where you are more focused on the game and you are more aware of what's actually happening.
like conditioning people.
Yeah,
right?
conditioning, or noticing habits as well, seeing that
Yeah.
they do this like every time in this situation. Again, there's nothing physically stopping you from being able to get to the point where you can recognize that.
I think it maybe depends on like how fast paced the game is. Maybe.
Well,
Because-
Shadju is a really good example.
Well, this guy has no
of
talent.
Not talented at all.
Yeah, no talent.
Yeah, no.
Incredible work ethic.
Yeah.
Totally.
I'm pretty sure he grinded training mode for like hours and hours and hours and hours. and
I did.
hours.
When I played like Smash 4 and Brawl. Sitting
And
training
over
hours.
time, particularly in Ultimate, because even in Smash 4, it was very like, you can 0 to death me, but if I put you in
He was a robot,
if I put
yeah.
you in disadvantage, you're
Yeah,
dead,
yeah,
because
yeah.
you're not thinking.
No.
You're not thinking in disadvantage.
All he was thinking about was his combos.
His
and how
neutral,
he was
his
going to
neutral was not
convert
good, and
his,
he would
like,
just
Where-
convert.
his up tilt into
Yeah.
death.
In Ultimate, he rounded out a lot more
Yeah.
compared to that. But it still broke it down to, because he was so familiar with the character, he knew, like a literal flow chart. If this happens, then it's this 50-50 situation, blah, blah, blah. So he could get air dodge reads and spot dodge or whatever, because it was kind of like an inbuilt. He knew that was a possibility from this circumstance, you know. So there was that level of reads and stuff like that, but it was still kind of following a flowchart.
Yeah, he's not reading you from a starting point. It's like you're in a situation, you have like 2, maybe 3 options, or the third one's really unlikely. Yeah. I'm gonna take a guess and say you probably do like A, not B or something.
Where someone, or at least I know it's definitely the case for myself. I assume it's also similar for Bradley, where like if someone asks us to articulate what were you thinking in that moment, you know, blah blah blah. Could you break down your gameplay? Could
I actually cannot.
Can you break down what you were doing in that game?
No.
And it's like I was just responding to what they were doing.
Yeah.
And at times I knew exactly what they were going to do, and I hit them for it. You know,
you just have. This is a thing that Ernest and I are talking about recently. It's having it.
It's the
you just have it.
Yeah.
Like
you can just get.
You just can't even explain it, dude. Yeah. You just like like there are so many scenarios where lower level players are like, oh, how do you beat this person? Like I struggle so hard, and I'm like, don't you just know where he's gonna be? Can't you just see it? Just go and hit him.
Yeah.
You know where he's gonna be.
Yeah.
You know what move he's gonna do. And he's like, I have no idea. And I was like, don't have it, dude. You just don't know.
That's so annoying.
And it's less so in Ultimate because there are a lot more players and a lot of people have worked harder. Yeah. But especially in Smash 4, like, brain off for actually 99% of the country.
Yeah.
Like, I just knew where you were going to be. Like, and I would just go and hit you.
Yeah.
So,
well, yeah. I think that's mainly where the talent comes from, right? Like, the whole idea of talent. Because it's... not easy to work on these things.
Yeah, that's
and like especially in discussions that like you and I have when you're like, oh, I can't deal with Piranha Plant, Patui or whatever, and I'm like, why don't you just like space it or like the grab thing? And you're like, oh, I've never thought of this before. This wasn't even in my head, and it's like. It's just like sometimes you just don't see it in your head, whereas like other people, I guess, could like visualize certain scenarios better and like they just see it. It's just it, dude. Like you see, I can't even explain it properly now. It's just it.
Yeah,
it's actually frustrating to think about because you don't know how to like word it. You don't really even know. What
exactly, and you don't know how to like. You don't know how to like.
It's just kind of like a sixth sense of.
Yeah,
because like. Actually, going back to like kind of the hard work part again, while I wouldn't practice the game or inputs, I would think about the game a lot, and I could almost. I kind of got to the point.
Do you play games in your head?
Yes.
Yeah.
So to me it comes naturally. I think some people they just can't. Where for me, I could imagine if someone said like, okay. Have Falco trying to forward air, you know, Wario for down airing the ground or whatever, you know. And I could play in my mind
the situation.
The exact situation. And I could even in my mind from memory like that wouldn't work.
He would shield it.
That wouldn't work. He'd shield it. Or that move would slightly pull back a little bit and dodge it. Like in my mind I could just play that and it's like I know exactly what would happen in that situation where a lot of people, they can't visualize it. They can't begin.
Do you think that's just a lack of familiarity with the game or what would you think the cause would be for that?
I'm not entirely sure because I feel like I had that inclination even just from the very start of playing Smash before I'd put lots and lots of time into it.
I mean, I do this as well. Like I'll be like at work and I'll just like think of like a scenario. Like I've pyro forward tilted someone's shield or something. And like think about like what options they have in like this scenario, or I've used something that's safe, like I've done a fast fall forward air or something, and they're in shield. Like these scenarios are really easy to like visualize.
Yeah,
like a big one would be I think about a set I just lost that day.
Yes,
I went for a Falcon knee. They air dodged and then back aired me for it. And it's like, oh, well I could have just down aired instead, or I could have just waited. and they would have had to have air dodged because me going out there, I'm going to do something. They have to air dodge there. I could have just done nothing and then hit them for it. I'd just kind of play it back in my mind, and I'd kind of think of new ways of playing that
big
way.
thing I had, I very rarely lost to the same player like twice in a row in terms of sets because I would freak out if I lost. So I'd go home and I would be up till like 3 a.m. I'd be lying in bed staring at the ceiling and playing the matchup.
Yeah.
Just over in my head being like, oh, like how do I deal with like dash attack? How do I deal with
Beth Harmon,
this move? What?
Beth Harmon.
Beth Harmon.
Yeah,
the chess
you just
girl.
got like Smash.
Oh yeah,
you just got Smash characters playing
she's
on the
playing
ceiling.
She looks on the ceiling. She's like, I'm gonna play out this entire game.
Yeah, I mean, but actually, and I'd be so obsessed with it, and I'd have it like for the whole week.
Yeah.
And I'd go to the next tournament, and I would usually win the matchup.
Yeah.
Because not that they can't win the next time, but then I'll like adapt again or whatever. But you're like, I was having a lot of trouble dealing with dash attack. I didn't really know how to punish it. Like, how should I deal with that? Like the second it hits my shield, what should I do? Like, what position should I be in? You know, and you play the matchup in your head basically, which I think led to me like not losing back-to-back sets against many players very often. And
I've watched so many sets. I think that's the main difference from Ultimate to Smash 4 for me. Is that like if I had a set on stream, and obviously like it was a lot more scarce, like stream time in Victoria compared to now. Like we have like 5 weeklies, they all get streamed. Every monthly gets streamed instead of just like the one Rambat. But every time I had a stream on, it didn't matter if I fucking washed them 2-0.
Yep.
Didn't matter if I got washed 3-0. I would watch the set back. And there are so many little bits, so many little, like, inconsequential bits that, like, don't even matter. That I would be like, oh, I should have done that instead.
Yeah.
Or, like, and I would grind it into my head.
Yeah.
Be like, oh, like, in this scenario where I would, like, this is, like, a shit example, but, like, back it up to, like, any shielded it, like, I shouldn't have done that. Like, but I would, like, grind it into my head that, like, yeah, exactly. I only watch VODs in Ultimate if I do something cool. Really, like I don't really watch VODs of myself.
I very rarely watch myself lose. I couldn't handle it. I just play the losing matchup in my head anyway. So I was like, I won't bother watching it. I'd like to see what I did right because sometimes I win a set and I didn't know what I did right.
Yeah.
But if I lost, I knew what I did wrong, like usually right away, and I just play it out in my head repeatedly. Whereas if I win, sometimes I just feel like I don't know. I hit him, I guess. I don't know why I hit him, but I had it at the time. So.
Right.
Yeah.
I really struggle in those scenarios like VOD review and stuff. I will like watch myself. I'll do something wrong and I just won't even notice.
I think so many people like it's good to see that more people are doing like VOD reviews. And I can know Nick does them and Poppet does them as they've done them for quite a while and other people. But I'm not mentioning them specifically because I haven't watched them do it, but I think so many people would VOD review their own games or other people's games and would have absolutely no idea what they're looking at.
Yes.
Yeah.
Legitimately, and they would know like actual idea of how to sort of contextualize everything that's happened in the set and everything. And
to be honest, it's a bit harder in Ultimate because like,
I think
you
it is
need
too.
to have,
yeah.
You need to have, and this comes back to the character discussion. Like you need to have adequate knowledge about both characters in order to understand what the next best step is for like both players.
I don't know how to describe it either, but I feel like just like Ultimate's neutral just doesn't seem as strict as Smash 4 and Brawls did.
No.
Which they were like really, really, really tight. Especially at the back end of Smash 4, not throughout the whole thing, but like you're playing like Fox Diddy at the back end of Smash 4. It's so tight. Like I don't know how to even explain it. Like it's like a matter of frames, and you have to react to things like so quickly, and you're playing at this space all the time, and the same sort of things keep happening. It's like, but when I watch Ultimate, it just doesn't seem quite that refined. I guess because there's still more time left in the game, to be fair, but. Like maybe it'll get to that point in like another year or so, but
I mean, I think it's mainly just because of the problems that we've already
probably
said. It's like shield safety is like obviously too high. Things like dash attacks are just like almost instant win buttons most of the time because their burst to like safety ratio is just ridiculously skewed in favor of like the dash attack.
Even things like input delay and the what's it called? The initial dash and stuff like that. It takes so long to shield.
Is that a common thing about dash attacks? I think dash attacks suck in this game.
Really? Why do you think that?
Because everyone's shielding.
Are they?
And everyone has like everyone's dash to shield is so good.
I think the dash
Like-
shield's pretty bad.
I feel like dash shield is not as good as it was in Smash 4 and Brawl.
It's not. No.
Oh, I mean, shielding is inherently worse than like Smash 4 and Brawl, but like
Do people in Victoria
Because
shield?
everyone is shielding.
I've watched people in Victoria. None of them seem to shield. Most of them are just dashing back and forth. People in
well, they're not
Queensland.
dashing, they're running around. They're in the air. The game is all it's in the air.
That too.
The entire game.
Um,
Like really, like dash stacks aren't getting you like value, and like they aren't getting you like. If you win neutral, it is like there aren't many dash attacks that are strong enough to like grant you like a significant advantage. I think.
DK's is bullshit.
think the advantage is just like putting them into the air, no? Like, I mean, something like Captain Falcon's dash attack is just absurd because not only is it like -10 or whatever, it also puts them in like the perfect position.
Named one of the best. You've named one of the best dash attacks in the game.
I mean, yeah, generally,
like Snake dash attack is also ridiculous. But like
what,
so many
what dash attacks are not good. Like, I mean, there's Marth and Lucina's, but I don't think there's many outside of that, right? That are bad.
Mega Man.
Smurfed
I mean,
you.
yeah.
Smurfed you, yeah. You got
I mean, there are like
Nah,
in terms of
it's kinda
neutral
crap,
win, like
though.
Mario's isn't good. Like it's more of a it's like a ledge thing.
It's still that pressure though. Like there's this range that you just can't really.
I mean,
enter.
dash attacks always are inherently like they're fine, like they're burst options. But like I don't think being like, oh yeah, dash attacks and ultimates like they're crazy.
No, yeah, nothing
Like,
too
Okay,
crazy.
fair enough.
Yeah.
I think. I mean, I feel like the only move I hit people with ever is like dash attack, even in Queensland where people just sit and shield because they're awful. But yeah, I don't know. I just feel like these moves are
Are
just
you getting
good.
hit by dash attacks?
I don't know.
Got to VOD review it, mate.
Yeah,
No.
I know.
I guess that's the end of the
I know.
conversation.
Okay, no, I know. I'm hitting people with dash attacks, but maybe it's just because Mithras is really broken.
I can sort of visualize you playing Jason in like friendlies or like money matches, and he starts reading your movement and he starts catching you with DK dash attack over and over again.
Well, that move's broken.
Well.
-1.
What?
I think
If
it's
it's-
only
It can
No,
be. It
no,
can
like-
be.
The,
Yeah,
the
it
late
can
hit
be.
is the bullshit one.
The
I
very
know I was
last
hitting
hit of
people
it.
with dash attacks and brawl, but
Yeah.
like brawl is not ultimate, so it's kind of.
What do you think are the actual, legitimately, what do you think are the best ways to improve, Jason, at Smash? Like, if you have someone who comes up to you, say they're like a 5 out of 10, they're like maybe like 1-2, they go to tournaments or something.
So me.
Yeah, sure. What is your actual advice on how to, like, if they've got a few hours to spend each day, they're legitimately serious on getting better, what advice are you actually giving them? And how do you think you did it yourself if you did? Or do they just need hits?
This is what I got told.
Yeah.
Right. So I was talking to Earl early on in my like career, I guess, and I was basically asking him the same questions, like, because we both played Little Mate. I was like, oh, what is my like next step? Like, what am I? Because I think I'm pretty good. I'm like doing okay. Like, how do I get like to the next level? And he was literally just like, you just have to play. Like, Ben was talking about like, oh, I didn't really work that hard in Smash 4, like, at all. But, like, you played a fuck ton.
Yeah.
Which is basically the advice that I got given. Which was, like, the more you play, the more scenarios you'll become, like, accustomed with.
Yeah, true.
The cleaner you'll become at, like, movement and combos if you, like, do them consistently. The more matchups you'll learn. The more interactions you'll deal with. So you'll have more knowledge than the other players. Just stuff like this.
So if someone's got like 3 hours to spend each day practicing, you'll just tell them to go like play either offline if they can or just Wi-Fi?
Well, the thing is like 3 hours a day, it's like...
Well, whatever number it is.
Yeah, I mean, like, that's why that question is sort of like weird to me, because I think there's so many more avenues now to like learn and improve.
What would they be?
I don't fucking know, man. I suck. If I knew, I'd do it too.
Well, you just said there are so many
like-
avenues.
Yeah, but there's like VOD review, there's fucking, there's like practice, there's like Wi-Fi. It's like okay in this game. Like in Smash 4, it was not great,
It was still fun.
but like, it was fine, right? But like, I would definitely prefer this one to the other one.
Well, I think everyone agrees that playing as much as you can, well, playing a lot is certainly like the primary point, the primary thing you need to do in order to improve. You're not going to improve by just by not playing.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter how good
yeah.
your combos get. You have to like play the fucking game.
I'm pretty sure someone asked Onan, the Steve player, how he practiced, and he was just like, "I just
This guy
play
literally
quick
just
play."
plays Wi-Fi.
Yeah, he
this
just plays quick
this guy
play.
literally just plays Wi-Fi. He like doesn't do anything.
I think
That's all he does.
Ultimate generally lends itself more because I feel like there are just those more kind of cutscene characters of like, you know, all right, I have my 0 to 70, you know, blah blah blah, or Steve 0 to death or whatever, that you can just practice mechanically.
Also, it is dependent on your character. Like if you're playing, you know, Steve and Kazuya, like if your execution is better than everyone else's, then you will just win.
You'll dump them.
Whereas if you're playing Sheik, it's a bit different. You have to like learn how to play Smash to an extent.
Shitashi gave me the exact same advice that Earl gave you when I at Sandbag's Revenge at Cake's event. I was like, oh, you know, I want to get good. Yeah. Like I think I'm already all right, but I want to actually get really good. And Shitashi just said, keep playing the game, just play. But to expand on that, like, that's true. But you need to think.
Well,
it's true, but like it's also like
we all know players who play a lot who have never really gotten to that level. Though.
Yes.
Yeah, the two examples that we've done so far is Ben and I, which we've already established.
Talented freaks.
Put ourselves higher on the talent list. It's a bit different.
I was actually going to say, I think this is kind of where the talent comes into it because
you'll get there faster.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But playing gets you so far, and I think that talent kind of does half the job of the thinking for you when you're playing, because there'll just be small things that you'll subconsciously be picking up on, like recognizing situations, like recognizing habits and stuff like that, that you will not even on a conscious level necessarily just absorb into your gameplay. But you really need to be thinking about what you're doing. Why am I doing this here, or why isn't this working? To actually kind of nail into your gameplay.
Me swing big sword.
Yeah.
Sword goes swoosh. Yeah, that's
hit hard.
You know, that's how like you see so many people like they're like what they're doing. They call like spacing or whatever. Like, bitch, you're half a stage away using like your swing. You have no idea you're using that move for no reason.
Yeah.
You're not baiting shit. You're not, you know.
There's no pressure.
Yeah, you're just swinging.
I was playing Haiku on Wi-Fi, and she was just doing down after burner kick, back and forth across the stage, and then I used like a limit blade beam, and she died. And she was like, "Why would you do that?" And it was like, because you are actually just using a move on the other side of the stage. You are not trying to hit me with this move. You're just using it for literally no reason.
Yeah. I wonder if there's like a cap with sort of talent where a certain player can only get to a certain like level with hard work. Like if there's sort of caps based on their talent level. I guess there's no really way to tell because nobody practices like the same amount. I think the main thing I consider talent is.
I mean, to be like the best player in the world.
Yeah, the world you need something.
You obviously have to be talented.
Yeah. Like Australia, I think that's like not true, but like I think if you just work, like if you just played Smash fucking 15 hours a day in Australia, you'll probably eventually just be the best player in the country. Low key, Jono is like this guy sucked, and he was like a little rolling camper, little lame boy, for ages, and then and he was good in Smash 4, like he was probably like top 10 in Smash 4, right? But like he blew up in this game because like he just fucking played, man, and he just like, and there are even scenarios like where he does the same thing that Ben and I were talking about, where it's like he's just head off for so many people, where it's like people ask him for advice and he can't even really tell you. Yeah,
he's just that much better.
Yeah, and
it's like, but this guy didn't just he didn't just start playing Smash and Smash 4 and like
smurf it,
fucking had it. Yeah, exactly. It took him like, well, and at the start of Ultimate, he also sucked for like 3 months. It wasn't until Phantom. This guy was actually like 9th in Victoria, like was gonna be like 9th or 8th in Victoria, and then just like went crazy in like the last 3 weeks. And then he was 4th, and then he was 1st, but he would have been 2nd on the next PR if Nick didn't get banned for that for the ban one. So he was gonna be 2nd. So this guy wasn't just like cracked at the gates. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Now it's like borderline unbeatable.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so basically if you come up to a top player and say, hey, how can I get better? They have nothing useful to tell you. They
have no idea. They have no idea.
They have no idea
what's happening. So give up.
Depends on the player. Yeah. You know who's really good at articulating stuff like that? Shrix.
I can see that. Yeah.
Like Shrix is like all the all the idiots that I hang around with are like all go through existential crises like every 2 weeks because they like drop the combo.
Yep.
And Strix is like, come child, like I'll feed you the grain and write down on my notepad like how to fix you. Like, I'll have it. Yeah. Don't worry. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, some players are much better at it. A lot of people will give you advice, but it's useless. Like, take it with a grain of salt. One thing you can do, obviously, if you're VOD reviewing, is just simplifying it as, like, how did I get hit? Like, what got me hit? Every single time I got hit, how did I get hit? And that will, once you noticing a trend, like, I dashed into this aerial that they just threw out there. Once you like that happened like 50% of the times I got hit, then it's a pretty clear one of your big problems that you're having against this player. So that's one thing I would suggest that everyone do if they actually want to VOD review themselves. There are only two little things I want to touch on, Jason. Firstly,
right.
How do you feel about banter?
In terms of
trash talking, in terms of what do you think the limit should be? Can you name me someone who's taken it too far and someone who does it just right?
I know someone who wants to take it too far, but is still sort of like... One for All from Victoria is currently doing a thread on Twitter, where it's like a popular thing where it's like, if you like this, I'll like roast you, or whatever.
Yep.
And he said some pretty mean shit to these like kids that are liking this post. But this guy's like 31 years old, and he takes pride in like... this guy is like a proper like... He wants to... He's every time he's like, oh, dude, can you just like let me yell at this person and then you can ban me for like 3 months? Like, it's fine. I'll just do it. I'm like, Dan, calm down.
That's fantastic.
Yeah. This guy's plan is to get banned. I don't know what his goal is. And I guess... What was the other part of that question? Sorry. So there was someone who...
Well, someone who takes it too far and someone who does it really well.
Yeah.
Does it really well. Does it really well. No one in Ultimate can do this, actually.
No. That was...
Low-key, I'd like to say myself. But, like, it's like... To be honest, there is like a bit of a stigma when I say something as like you can not take it 100% serious, and like people don't get offended with it.
This is the thing, like that's the element of doing it well, is that you're not actually trying to offend the person. The key to doing this is to, like, when you say something, to phrase it in a way or to say it in a way where you have like a wink in your eye, basically, where they don't think you are actually being serious. You're not actually calling them like a piece of shit. I did this pretty well. I had like one or two people get upset at me during Smash 4. Don't laugh. But for clarity, this just doesn't happen anymore. I would sit at a friendly setup. I would play like people, and I would just go absolutely off. Just swearing at them, calling them everything, calling them talentless hacks, dog shit, worthless, like actually just laughing in their face, lean over, like laugh in their face. When they missed a combo or something, just scream when I spiked them, all this sort of shit. And if you look at that sort of objectively, like, well, that's just way surely too far. And obviously you don't do it in a tournament set itself. But if you can do it where you do it in a way, and I don't know how you
it's so
do this,
like over the top that you
can't.
Yeah,
you do it in a way
seriously.
that like you have like basically like, all I can phrase is you have a wink in your eye and they know that you're not actually being serious. Then you can almost do whatever you want. And then of course if someone says like, hey, don't swear at me, then you probably don't do it to that person. But I think a lot of people have so much trouble with doing this. Maybe because they intrinsically have trouble doing it, and also because we've set the scene up in a way that it's really not tolerated anymore, which I think is a pity, because I think it really adds bit of spice and personality. And like when you see
makes it interesting.
Two players like playing winners finals who have just trash talked or something, like that's sexy.
Way more interesting.
Like you wait, you so want to know, and then you get the bragging rights as well. And it's so hard because like to come out and trash talk before a tournament, that's the real like. I mean, you got to be gutsy to do that.
These are relics of Smash Sports past.
Yeah.
There's so many people now. Like I've talked to a few players who are like now the best players in the country, and they're all and basically all of them are like, man, I just want to play Smash. Like I don't even want to be on stream. I just want to play like in the corner, and like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like the thrill of entertainment. Like they don't get it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. You need your villains
like
and heroes.
The
fucking. Yeah, man. I don't know. I was gonna bring up the strict spammage thing again, but I don't know what the point was gonna be. Like, these two
Spammage
like
seems
had
to be
action.
kind of like that person.
Sorry, who is?
Spammage. She just whenever
But she was just like making comments. Like it wasn't like, I don't know. It was so weird.
I think she just does.
And then it
that.
turned into like a yeah.
I think when
I don't think she was doing it for the show.
No, well,
Oh,
no,
yeah.
I mean, I think she just says whatever negative thing is on her mind about who she's playing on Wi-Fi. I think that's just her.
Yeah.
It's fine. There's nothing wrong with that.
Who
I
is-
kind of do this as well.
Yes.
But I
But
think
you also
that-
better be able to own up to it as well.
Yeah,
You're
you
doing it in
gotta-
a public forum. Like,
which she
you know.
did, to be fair.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it should, like, because people want to see the villain win, and they also want to see the villain lose.
Yeah.
And when you got to take it, like, you could say, you got me that time, but like next time, like, you're dog shit. I'm gonna read you, like, whatever the fuck you want to say. But you've got to play like both sides of the coin, really, to do it well. Who is the all-time greatest Smash villain in Australia?
I think Anus was up there.
Anus.
The thing about
Doing
villains-
push-ups on
I mean,
stream.
Anus is obviously first, right?
Yeah,
And he,
Anus
like,
is first. Yeah.
he leans into the bit.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
the thing about you could name all the good villains in Australian Smash, and they're all genuinely crazy. It's not a bit.
Was Nova...
Wasn't I a villain? I was a villain for a while. I wasn't crazy. I'm not crazy, am I?
Were you a villain, really, like Australia wide?
I think in the first
Maybe
year.
not Australia-wide,
I
but
think
at
in the
least
first year
Queensland.
before SXC, I was.
Oh, so before you went to literally anything.
No.
Talking shit on Twitter and
If
stuff.
Jesmo
Yeah, I
wins,
talked
we
to
riot.
I talked to a lot of shit on Twitter until I patted Nikes on the back. That was when I was no longer a villain.
Literally.
Literally,
Redemption arc.
that was it was. And before that,
Everyone else in that top 8 was fucking lame. And so, like, you're the only person left to go for.
I'm pretty sure even most of my state didn't like me, and then certainly the rest of the country didn't.
I mean, this is projecting. Like, this
Well.
is not the discussion.
Okay, well, I thought
It's not about, like,
I tried to play
in
the villain.
Australia.
yeah.
Oh, alright. Well, you did a shit job.
Fair enough.
Most people aren't ready for a villain.
No.
They can't handle it.
Who else we got?
Now, also, people aren't ready to be a villain either, like
No.
Anus was.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you've got to.
But
Commit
that's
to
the
it.
thing. You probably have to be genuinely crazy.
I
in
mean,
order
yeah,
to
it's
do
not
it.
easy. It's not easy.
It's not easy because there will be some people who don't get it, and they will just hate you.
Was
Future
Nova...
cow.
They just hate Anus.
Was Nova
Yeah, it's scary.
kind of a villain, like, in set and
Not
stuff as
really.
well? Or is it
No,
more
he's
just,
not a
the
villain.
weird stories?
Because, like, firstly,
He was
can't-
polite in real life.
It was hard to
most
be a
people.
villain in, like, because he was in SA and the scene just didn't matter, and he also just like won things with Ganondorf. In this, like, it's like how do you become a villain winning tournaments in Ganondorf in SA? Like, you can't really. And he wasn't like come out and saying like wasn't calling out Tibbs or anything. Or,
Yeah.
He wasn't really a villain. He was a weird unit, but he wasn't a villain.
Yeah.
Well, I've got you, Jason, as well. Are you going to own up to the fact that you've stolen all of my memes?
I've owned up multiple times.
Can I have it on record now?
Own up again.
I want to hear it.
What is it?
All of them.
What do you want?
I just want you to say it.
But not all of them.
How did you
It's not all.
name your podcast, Jason? By the way.
I didn't name my podcast
Oh,
because
okay.
it wasn't mine.
Who named it?
Connor Kincaid, mate.
How did he name it?
Dumb for real. Meme popularized by Duon the Gwyff.
He popularized. Yeah. Where did that one come?
Created
from?
by Jesse Buckle.
Yes, it was. Like all the
Dude,
good
he
ones.
stole off. Fucking what's his name?
It's the guy in the.
Yeah, it's the house invasion guy.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is.
You're so dumb. You're
You're
dumb, for real.
You're really dumb. Yeah.
You're really dumb.
Yeah.
We gonna find you.
I don't
Yeah,
like
that
it.
guy.
I don't like it.
So really, it's just his thing, isn't it?
Nah, it's mine. Yeah, there's actually you could spend a whole podcast doing that, going over 50 memes that have originated, not just from me, but from
Cataloging
like
them.
the Aristochats Discord.
Nah.
You could. You've
What,
stolen
though?
a lot. I don't know, we don't use it anymore. Do you say rant? You probably say rant tournaments.
Rant. I mean, I still say rant. Like I still say it. I say it everywhere.
Well, there's an example,
But
Jason.
that's not a thing, though. But that's not a thing. People
What
don't
does
say
that,
that.
What does that mean?
Well, he's saying that
What is
they
what?
haven't
Oh,
sold,
okay,
they don't
right,
do it.
I see.
It's not popularized. It's not popularized.
Well, then you're doing a shit
Yeah.
job of stealing stuff.
Well, I mean, yeah, that's not the argument. Like, the argument is that you steal things.
No,
Because
that's
you're,
not.
because you're a dirty
No.
thief.
What are you talking about? That's exactly what the argument is. Because everyone in Victoria is using the stuff that Jasmine thinks of.
What are your top 5?
And they don't even know where it came from.
Well, they don't. What are your top 5 stolen memes?
Top 5. I mean, Dumb For Real has is national.
Well, that's there's a podcast of it now, so that's got to be first.
Like everyone uses that.
Yeah.
Like across the country.
Stupid.
God, what else did I steal?
Does Connor know that you've stolen
Must
and that he's stolen it basically inadvertently off Jasmine?
Yes, we've had this discussion before.
Just as long as it's out there, just as long as everyone knows. Just know that.
Just know that.
Know that.
Know it.
There have been so
I don't
many.
know. There was
anything that any European League of Legends player has ever said. What's that thing that they say? By the way, I don't know if anyone does that. We do in our Discord, like ending a sentence with "by the way" for no reason.
By the way,
like this case is really broken. By the way, like what's that? Yeah. What is that? By the way,
yeah. I'm not sure. No one really does that one either.
Well, you have stolen. You have stolen like 20.
Yeah, there's a list. Hang on.
You have a list?
You have a list.
That's good, actually.
They did like a tier list.
They did a tier list.
They did a tier list of all the
Maybe
things.
making a list has been stolen from the Aristochats Discord.
I mean, that's the thing. Like, even if they don't like use it now, they have like used it in the past, right?
Stuff comes and goes. Yeah.
Dumb For Real will eventually die.
It's got it might not. It's got a podcast.
Maybe not. Yeah, I don't know.
It's alive and well.
Yeah.
Or maybe it will just become like a thing to describe these for. Dumb For Real.
Maybe.
And then no one will use it for anyone else.
Maybe. Keen to hear the list though.
Yeah, we're waiting.
Yeah, I can't find it. Sorry.
What do you mean you can't find it?
Can't find it?
What do you mean? Can't find it?
Look better.
You could look better.
Smashes
Ooh, nice
What's with the
one.
snort lately, by the way? Actually,
Stolen meme. Stolen meme.
snorts a Connor.
Yeah, it's a Connor bit.
Meme.
Snorts a Connor bit.
No, the bit, it's a rye bit. It's like a pretty... So basically, it's like... Let's say you're playing against, like, a Smash character, and they, like, Z-axis your, like, shield grab or something. Some bullshit.
You just snort.
You just let out a fat, like...
That's good.
Yeah.
Well, I think that'll do us for today. Gone overtime anyway. Thanks very much for joining us as the first guest on the podcast, Jason. It's really nice to have you. Did you want to shout out your Twitter or your YouTube or whatever the fuck you use? Not you, Aaron. I'm looking at you, but I'm not talking about you.
Yeah.
I'm the Gwyff on Twitter.
At the Gwyff.
All caps.
Yeah. What happened to your other Twitter account?
Yeah, and also check out the Dumb For Real podcast.
Yeah. When's the collab?
The what?
Did I say collab? Collab? Did you say
The collab.
Yeah.
Collab.
I don't know why I said it so weird. Yeah, where's the...
Whatever, mate.
Fair enough. That'd be good.
To cross
Like-
over.
I mean, you should release an episode.
We will.
first.
We'll get around to it. We got 2 now.
We do have two.
Two in
That's
the
hot.
pipeline.
It is hype. How many have you done? It's like 50 or something. It was a heap.
No, so I think it's 25 or 26.
We had a
When was your last
Last what?
podcast.
podcast?
Like 4 days ago.
Giga.
Yeah.
Not bad.
All right. Well, thanks very much. We'll probably have you on hopefully at another point. But thanks very much for taking the time out of the day and joining us. Signing off.